Hi all, welcome to Supercoders. So in this tutorial, I am going to implement our sidebar API in our front-end project. Just like I created an API in the previous tutorial, now we are going to integrate that API in our project in the front-end application. Here you can see I make a sidebar dynamic and it has expanded method, everything. So I'm going to use Redux to implement in our project. So let's get started and let's work on this. So first, before starting, I'm gonna give you some brief introduction about the React Redux, how it's happened, and how it's working. So let me show you using ChatGPT. So here just I'm asking React Redux introduction. After that, for me, I'm just gonna implement that React Redux in our project. But for some basic information, I am just gonna show you some information about the React Redux, how it's working and how everything is gonna work. So here if you see Redux is a state management. Like first it give me the React, but I don't want to go with React because I already covered the React topic. So if you see first, Redux is a state management library for JavaScript application, often used with React. It helps to manage the state of the application in a predicted way. The key concept of the Redux are store. So basically store is nothing. It will store the app level data in the store data. So in store, we can save all the data in a single state. Unlike we have done in the React, we can create a state for component level, for the parent component level, for the child component level. We can create their own state and we can pass the data via parent child concept, all these things. But in Redux, we can do what? We can create a single store and we can store the data in the Redux and we can use that data in our whole application anywhere. Once it is loaded, we can use it anywhere. Then we have actions. So in Redux, we can't change the data directly or data manipulation directly. So we can create different types of action method to manipulate the data or do some changes in data using action method. Then we have reducer. So basically reducer we can use is a to create a functions and we can use the functions to fetch data from API or other things like fetching data from IndexedDB. All these things comes under the reducer. Dispatch method. So basically dispatch is used to trigger the action method, like I already informed about like action. So action is a method which we can use to change the state data. So how to call the action? We can use the dispatch method to call the action method. Then we have selector, and now we want to use the data from the Redux, how we can extract the data, how we can use the store data to extract it and use in our React application. We can use this selector method to extract the data from the React store, to extract the data from the Redux store and use in our application. We can use this selector method. Now here is new thing, using React and Redux together. So basically first we need to set up the Redux in our React project that I'm going to do. And there are some basic examples. It show me some examples like use selector. Just like I explained what is selector. So selector we can use to extract the data from the Redux. Here if you see, here I'm using use selector to extract the data count from the Redux. And here also if you see dispatch method. So dispatch method is to call the method of action by calling dispatch their method name. It will trigger the action method of the Redux. Here if you see action method like increment and decrement are the method which is gonna trigger by the dispatch. We have store also, and we have also other things like reducer. Right now let's do some setup in our project and start working on the React Redux in our project. So first coming back to my project, open VS Code. Let's install the React and Redux. So opening a new terminal. So first I'm going to install the React Redux. So npm install @redux js toolkit, enter. Then I'm going to install React Redux. So npm install React Redux. It is done. Clear the console. Now after that coming to my front end. So opening src and here getting some directory for our project Redux. So first adding Redux, then adding the folder store, Then inside the Redux, I am creating reducer. After that, let's create reducer. So I'm creating sidebar data.js. After that, let's work with our reducer. So import, create, slice, create async thunk from the Redux JS toolkit. After that, import Axios also, which I'm gonna use to fetch the data from API for sidebar. After that, let's create one method, export fetch sidebar equal to create async thunk, adding data slash fetch sidebar async method, and here export const fetch sidebar, and it's done. So here I'm just fetching the data from the API localhost 3000. I think here is the API for our sidebar which I created last week. Let's copy this URL. It should be 8000, then API, then get menus. So here we can fetch the sidebar data from the server, and it is inside the response.data and inside .data. So .data. After that, let's work with our reducer. So const sidebar slice equal to create slice. Now here we can work with our reducer data. So first I'm giving a name, data, then initial state. So initial state I am giving items blank, status idle, then error null. So these are initial state of our reducer. Then we can work with reducer. Let's make it empty for now. Let's work with extra reducer. So extra reducer, here we're gonna take as a method builder. Now here I'm gonna add some logic, builder dot add case, page sidebar dot pending state. Then what I can do, state dot status equal to loading. That is okay. Then for next case, dot add case, if it is fulfilled, then status may be success. State dot items equal to action dot payload. That is also okay. Then I'm gonna add case one more time, which is for failed or rejected. So in that, if it is rejected, our async task like this task getting success, failed, or loading, there are three types of state. So I'm just adding all the states here. If sidebar fetching data is pending, I am say it's in loading state. If it is fulfilled, like our async task is completed, we can say our data is loaded and we can go with success status. And if it is rejected, like it is failed, we can go with a failed state. After that, let's export it. Export default sidebar slice dot reducer. Now save it. This is done. Next, we need to work with our store data. So come to store. Let's create a new file, store.js. And here, what I'm gonna do? First, we need to import some dependency from the Redux. So inform configure store from the Redux JS toolkit. Then I'm going to import sidebar reducer from sidebar data. Then I'm gonna do some const store equal to configure store reducer sidebar sidebar data is equal to sidebar reducer. After that, let's check if any error. There is no error. Let's export it. Export default store. Save it. Now after that, we need to implement these things in our project. So what I can do, coming to the index.js file. Now let's use Redux in our project. So what I can do, first we need to add provider. So I just remove this strict mode, adding provider. Let's close this provider also here. And let's import this provider. So for importing provider, it will come from import provider from import provider React Redux. Then I'm gonna use store equal to store. Let's import this store also. So import store from Redux store. Now save it and let's check it's gonna work or not. So I think there is no error now. So I think it's gonna work. Now save it and coming to our app.js file, we need to fetch the data from the API. Now after that, we need to fetch the data from the API using our reducer. So first I do what? I'm just moving this thing to our inside app and also let's move this for now also. Save it. Let's check it's gonna work or not first. I think there is no error for now. Now let's fetch the data from the API. So what I can do, basic things. First import store from the Redux store. Then import useDispatch from the React Redux. Then import provider from the React Redux. Then importing fetch sidebar from the sidebar data. Then import use effect use state from the React. After that, we're gonna work with our sidebar thing. So what I can do first, I can create const, then dispatch equal to use dispatch, and also before that const status comma error comma items useSelector state dot sidebar data. So this thing coming from our stored by reducer sidebar data. Copy this and paste it. So here from sidebar data we can extract the status error items, which is exactly this data item state and error. So this data comes to our store and we can use the use selector to extract the data from our reducer by the store. And after that, save it. Use effect already defined. Let's move it, save it. Now let's check there is any error in project or not. There is no error. So what I can do, I'm creating a use effect again. Use effect and here I'm gonna status and dispatch. Inside the use effect, I'm just fetching our sidebar. So just I inform earlier, if you want to call a method or do an do any action, we can use dispatch method to trigger the action. So here I use dispatch and pass the method sidebar. Now save it and let's check it's gonna work or not. So back to Chrome, refresh page, come into the network tab. I'm just checking the API is getting called or not. Press. I refresh the page and come into the network tab. Let's clear it. I think it is calling multiple times. You see it is calling multiple times, multiple requests. Maybe there is something issue thing here. I need to add one more thing, which is if status equal to idle, then I'm gonna fetch this sidebar. Otherwise, it will fetch in an infinite loop. Save it, refresh page. Let's copy this, close it. Open network tab, enter. Now I think it's gonna work. You can see it fetch only one time and you can get all the data. So what I can do, I'm just adding a loader if I want, or just want to render the sidebar. That is also okay. Now after that, I receive these sidebar items also inside the items. So what I can do, I can simply pass the items here in the sidebar items. I know it will throw some error because the data structure is different. If you see this structure, it has name, link, and icon. But if you see our data, it has module name, module icon, and module URL. But that is okay for now. So what I can do, I just pass item, save it, and back to Chrome, refresh page. Right now there is no data showing because I changed the logic. So if I come to the layout file, just come to the layout file, and here coming to top, there is sidebar list. So what I can do right now, just adding console.log sidebar items, save it, back to Chrome, in console, refresh page. Right now it is empty. So what I can do, I am just adding a logic. Choose effect and here sidebar list. So if there is any data change in the sidebar list, I'm gonna do what? I'm just trigger it again. Save it. So initially the sidebar list is empty list. Then after getting data from the Redux, it's got trigger. So that's why I use this effect. When the data is changing in sidebar list, I just set the sidebar items again. Now refresh page and you can see the item is getting rendered. If you see, there is no data showing just because of my data names. So what I can do, come into the code in the below in sidebar item. Here if you check, it is module name. So module underscore name. Copy it, change it to module icon, save it. Let's check. You can see I'm getting all my sidebar items, dashboard, customer, supplier, but I'm not getting any child items just because of this children method. This children. In our API, we can getting the children item inside the submenus. So copy this submenus key, change this to submenus, 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 and submenu. Save it, back to Chrome, and also change this to module underscore name, module underscore name, module underscore name. Save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, and you can see I'm getting my old item, but that is not gonna work. Right now it is not expanding. So to change the logic. So here we need to change the flow of the code. So what I can do here, handle sidebar menu click, just open this method. And here what I can do, first change this to this will be, I think, module URL, and here change it to submenus. So again copy this submenus, paste it, and here what I can do is changing the logic. So here this logic will not work on that case because we can't customize the data of the store in the Redux by this way. We need to use the action method to actually modify the data. So what I can do right now, I'm just coming back to my sidebar data, and here in reducer I'm creating another method. So what I can do, so I'm creating here expand item, then adding state comma state comma action. Now after that, here what I can do, const item equal to state dot items dot find item dot id equal to action dot payload dot id. So here after this, if the item, I'm just fetching all the state items and checking its, like if the id which are receiving from action is actually matched with the items. So what I can do here, if item, I can get the item. What I can do, item dot expanded equal to item dot not expanded. Now save this code, and we need to use this method expanded. So first we need to export this. So again come here, export const expand item equal to side by side dot actions. Now save it. Let's use this expand item in our layout file. So what I can do first, I'm going to import first that action. So import expand item from sidebar data. Let's check it. Here it is. Correct. Copy this method, and on click I am do what, dispatch expand item id equal to item dot id. Save it. Now let's check it's gonna work or not. And I think I missed to import dispatch. So what I can do, import use dispatch from React Redux, and here const dispatch equal to use dispatch. Save it, back to Chrome, refresh page, try it again, and here we go. Our item is expanded. If I click it again, it's expand and collapse. So that way you can gonna implement the dynamic sidebar, which is actually coming from our server. Here the icon is, if you see, it is in circle. If you want, you can change the icon also. Right now, if I click on any item, it is not navigating me to that page. So let me check what is exactly happening. So if I come again here, let's move this code. And after clicking this menu, it should be navigate to module URL. So what I can do, I'm just gonna check which contain the module URL. So if I check with the dashboard has module URL with analytics, so it must navigate to this page analytics, but it is not happening. Let me check again. Dashboard, analytics, inspect, source. Let's open the file, which is our layout file. Find handle sidebar menu click. sidebar menu, click. I check. Now click on analytics. Nothing is happening. Sidebar item is okay. Sub menu is also okay. But if I click on child item, it's not gonna work. Let me check again. If I click on this, nothing happened. So back to VS Code again. Okay, here in child menu, I didn't actually add the handle sidebar menu click. Just copy this thing. That's why it is not working. One click, copy it. In child menu, list item, just add it here. Sidebar item, choose child, save it. And I don't think we need the index. So remove the index from here. Remove the index from here. Remove the index from here because we are actually using the ID. Also remove from here. Save it. Back to VS Code. Refresh page. 180 number line. 180. Here actually I need index because I think we don't need index here also. Instead of that, we can use sidebar item dot id. Save it. Back to save it. Save it. Back to Chrome. Refresh page. Try to click on dashboard. Click on analytics. And now it is gonna work. You can see it's navigate me to analytics page, which is exactly not right now exists, but it is working right now. If I go back, refresh, click on dashboard, analytics, it is working. So now I can navigate to other pages also. So in that way, you can implement Redux in your project. So the basic workflow, let me go through again the complete flow. First, you need to create a slice. Then we need to add some reducer, which is gonna fetch the data from the API for sidebar. Then I export the data and I also add an expand item to click on the item of the parent. It will expand the item and it will collapse the item when it is already expanded. Then we can create a store to sidebar data. We can use this store data to access all the items of sidebar in our app.js file, and which exactly render our sidebar in layout file. What I can do, I can just remove it from here. Just remove this thing from here. So I hope you like the video. Thanks for watching. Please like our video and please subscribe our channel. And if you have any question, please do comment. And also in next tutorial, I will work with the pages or create a dynamic forms in the front end.